Okay guys, welcome to the welcome to the Kyusho Jitsu Resuscitation Certification Program course. And yes, Chi is involved with it because we're doing resuscitation from knockouts, or as I actually prefer to say nowadays, brain dysfunction. Because the term knockouts gives people an idea that the uke or partner or person on the street should be out laying on their back, unconscious, totally cold, dead out. But that's not always the case. All you really need quite often is to dizzy somebody up really, really well, and then you can make your escape. And next, I'd like to welcome you to the dungeon. You'll see if you have the Advanced Octagon course and the Advanced Hapkido course, you'll see this room used quite a bit. It's just a sign of the times, because the day of the martial arts dojo in the West is probably coming to an end, but read the articles on my blog, you'll get more into that. I'd like to thank Sensei Kara Borshak for being with me here today to help me out with this project. She is the one who runs my former dojo. And I do like saying former dojo. I really like that. First thing we're going to talk about today is head resuscitation. Right? Head resuscitation is where it all begins, because if the person is awake, there's usually not a problem. Right? It's when the person is not awake that there can become a problem. And when the head is functioning and the person's thinking is clear, pretty much everything is going to be okay. So we're going to concentrate on that one in this first video and talk about it. Right? Now, there are a lot of things that we've taught over the years that don't really matter, and we're going to kind of shift through that. Right? When you're not, and I'm going to say this straight up, if you are the kind of martial arts guy who knocks people out and doesn't catch them when they're going down, don't talk to me. I have no respect for you. That's absolutely, that's negligence. It's gross negligence to do that. I watch all the time. I get people that used to send me videos before I became kind of nasty about the whole thing. But person free falling in a state that is not fully conscious can cause severe concussions up to including death, severe neck injuries including permanent paralysis. It's gross negligence if they die, it's homicide. Therefore, catch the person falling. Quit trying to be a show-off. That being said, and again, I've cut people right out of my organization for free falling. And it's funny, you know, all the people that have knocked George Dillman over the years, he taught safety first to everybody. Mm-hmm. But yet some of these people out there who aren't, how do I respect that when you don't care about your uke? Or you're so busy trying to look good that, you know, you need to do it yourself. Now, I'll have the camera come a little bit closer, and I'll have this lady turn around to the back, because we're going to take a look. I want you to see exactly where it is that this wake-up nerve is that I talk about. It is, we come in here, right here, where my thumb is gallbladder 20. 2 finger widths down, the wake-up nerve is right here on both sides of the body. And what you do with this wake-up nerve is preferably, but it's not perfect, if I were to knock her out on her right side of the body, I would strike the left side wake-up nerve. If I hit this side, I would strike the other side. The reason for that is very, very simply, it has to do with the 2 hemispheres of the brain and the corpus callosum between them. But if you can't do that, it's okay, or you don't know how they went out, pick a side, that's fine. And it's done with medium force. I'm not going to do it on her neck, because no point in hitting this nerve if you don't have to, but it's about that much force that you would do it. Right? Now, gallbladder 20 as a knockout point is terrible, because you've got to hit it this way up and in. Whereas if I hit the wake-up nerve this way, I will get the same effect as hitting gallbladder 20. So it works in 2 purposes. Now, after I strike this, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pat at the base of the spine, right? Just at the lumbar region. We don't want to go into the tailbone region. You give it a slap, and then you bring the energy up to the head in a cupping motion this way, right? And that will bring the energy back to the head. I'll get you to turn around now. No sense in facing the back forever, right? And that is the basics. Now, of course, the person's not going to be standing for this. You can do it standing if they're conscious, right? But most of the time, for safety's sake, better if they're sitting down. Would you mind having a seat for me? Right? Now, when somebody gets knocked down, hopefully you've got catchers, and the catcher will sit the person up. In the case of a woman, the right leg would be, will you switch feet for me? Would be moved in first, the left leg would be on the outside. Now there is controversy about this. Are you sure it's that way, not the other way? In all honesty, it doesn't matter. Right? Don't worry about it. It is not that critical. It's a fine-tuning point. It is the lesser of the points. Now, one of the things that I want to make sure of when this happens is that I need to take a look at the eyes. I want to be looking for dilation of the pupils, because during a neurological event like this, the pupils will dilate. If only one pupil dilates, you have a problem. If no pupils dilate, that's fine. If they both dilate, then you know that the brain has been involved in this neurological event and that they are not fit to walk around or do things like that and require resuscitation. If only one pupil is dilated and the other one is large, you've got a potential for a stroke. That is when you go to the phone and you go 911, because you've got a problem if you've got one pupil dilated and one pupil not dilated, right? And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about in this course, is when you have a medical problem that requires the attention of emergency crews, and when you don't, you need to worry about it. Now, I've done the resuscitation by slapping the wake-up nerve, bringing the energy back up, but I'm not really satisfied with my results. Now, I can redo that resuscitation as many times as I want. Okay? However, at some point in time, I'm going to want to do a little bit more to bring the energy back. And that's where I'm going to come up this way to the crown chakra of the head, and I'm going to begin to try to pull chi up through this way. Now, as I'm doing this, I can feel it reflecting off of my other hand, right? So you're going to try to bring the energy back up through the body this way to bring the head back. And then you would check the eyes again, and then come back, slap the wake-up nerve, etc., etc., and until you start to get a response. Because they're talking doesn't mean that everything is okay, right? It's a good sign. What are the eyes? The eyes need to be reactive. So as an example, if I ask her to look towards the light, which I would, or better yet, if I've got a phone with me and I can just quickly shine a light into her eyes to see if her pupils react, and they react to the light, well, that's a good sign, right? You always help the person up, make sure they're steady, and then send them for water immediately. Because one of the things that happens during this type of an event is the brain tends to flush water out of itself. That's why if you don't do this work for a simple knockout, the person will feel hungover the next day like they've been out drinking, because the water has been depleted from the brain to the rest of the body, and it needs to be replenished. As anybody who's had a hangover, who has any common sense, knows, the first thing you have to try to do is get water back into the body to deplete the hangover. Aspirin is not the cure for a hangover, water is. Gatorade works as well, because the electrolytes come in handy, especially if you've been really going at it. Now you notice that she's got her hands pointed up, right? You don't particularly want the hands pointed down. That's fine tuning again. But you want them pointed up because heart 8 on the inside of each hand is one of the highest energy points in the body, if not the highest energy point in the body for the expulsion of energy, even more so than the crown chakra. And you want that energy coming up back into the body. You don't want to send it to the ground. That's also why the legs are crossed and not straight forward, is you've cut off the water energy at kidney 1, and you're keeping the circulation within the lower part of the body. Because 60% of the energy is in the lower part of the body, 40% is in the upper part of the body, right? So that is it for basic head resuscitation, and we'll see you guys in the next video.